3. Can you explain the difference between the two?
So one of the exercises that are board approved, based on the success that we had with the ground rent settlement for all 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, was that we found that in that exercise that there were assets, stranded assets of defunct PHCN which had not been transferred to NAMCO. So we undertook a comprehensive audit, which meant going around the country trying to retrieve those assets, bring them, have them transferred to NAMCO by the BPE and NCP so that we could sell those to settle liabilities. So that's the comprehensive audit that we're doing. NAMCO has a repository of all electricity assets, NEPA assets, PHCN assets with us, and we are trying to ensure that all those assets are warehoused with NAMCO so that we can manage them, sell them in order to settle the liabilities incurred by the PHCN. The monitoring and oversight evaluation, that covers...
No, item 4. Item 4. So
the valuation, as you know, the NCP approved independent valuers to value those assets in order for us to market them. So we have NCP approval for independent valuers to, once we have those assets, to value them so that we can advertise them for sale. So that's the valuation.
What about verification of non-core assets?
The verification of non-core assets, when we get information about assets that are stranded from discos, from local individual citizens, we go and verify the existence of that property. What we also do in a verification of those assets to see if there are any legal encumbrances, if there actually were NEPA assets, if we've had situations where people have encroached on them, have taken them over and are utilizing them for their own personal use. We've had to go to court several times to forcibly retrieve those properties for the federal government, and so that is what we do.
That is much different from auditing?
That is much different from
the audit?
Yes, the audit was to go and find these properties. We got a lot of information when we did the ground rent exercise, and we've identified about 10 to 15 properties that were not on anybody's books, that were actually NEPA assets that we have managed to retrieve for federal government. So the audit was to go around to identify those properties, see that they exist, and it's a very different exercise. It's to audit the information that we retrieved from the ground rent exercise and then determine whether they are actually federal government assets that are being utilized or encumbered by individuals.
But it sounds much the same to me. I think you said going around verifying and ensuring the same thing you're going to do in verification.
The comprehensive audits were specifically for properties we didn't know anything about. Properties that were not on any books, that were stranded. So that was a different exercise, or is an ongoing different exercise, to identify those properties. The evaluation and verification are for assets that have been transferred, that are eventually transferred to us. They're two different exercises.
And what then do you do when
the settlement is to pay debts. That's what we do, is to settle the liabilities that were incurred by the defunct PHCN. So that settlement is to pay people, companies, legal court orders, debts that were incurred by the defunct PHCN. So that settlement is when we pay those. We had a portfolio of 2.3 trillion naira in liabilities that were transferred to NAMCO. So we have paid 100 billion direct cash payments to settle some of them. We have saved the federal government 700 billion through verification exercises, through ensuring that we're reconciling those liabilities and ensuring that we're establishing actual liabilities before we settle them. So that's what we do. The settlement of liabilities is payment to creditors who are owed by defunct PHCN.
I think we should go